There is a lot to like and appreciate about the Model 3, but after owning one for 6 months and about 6,500 miles, there's a few things I've noticed that I really don't like and things that they can definitely improve on. So first off, there's a few things that are completely missing from my car that were present in earlier VINs of the Model 3. Things like the dead pedal, and if you don't know what this is, don't worry, I had to look it up as well. But it is that rubber piece that is right to the left of your brake, and normally there is a rubber piece there, but in my car, it is just a big piece of carpet. Now, if you watched Andy Slye's video, he talked about this a little bit, and I'm completely on board with him there. Just completely get rid of this area. It is not doing anything functionally, and it will give you some more room to stretch out your legs. I am 6'4", so I will take all the room that I can get. In my old car, there was actually a little bit of space there between the dead pedal and the brake, so I could extend my leg on longer road trips, and it was a little bit more comfortable, but it is super tight in the Model 3 right there, so just removing that piece altogether would free up a lot of space in the cabin. There's also no mat in the front trunk. Now, on earlier versions of the Model 3, there was a mat that kind of covered the bottom of the front trunk, and in mine, it is completely bare. I don't use the frunk too often, but it would be nice to have something in there that gave it a little bit of friction, so if I do put things in there, they're not sliding around while I'm trying to drive. Also missing the front trunk are those little grocery clips, which is crazy because they're like a $2 piece, and I have no idea why they would remove them. But I have no place to really hang my groceries in the front trunk now. I believe you can still buy them from Tesla, but I really haven't looked into it that far. There have also been a couple software bugs, just like any computer. This is a rolling computer, so there are gonna be some bugs. But as I mentioned in my Tesla delivery review video, this car was not up to date with the latest software from Tesla when I picked up my car. At this time, version 10 had been released, and my car, when I picked it up, was still running version 9. Obviously not a huge deal, but a brand new car fresh from the factory, I feel like, should have the latest version of software. Spotify has also had its fair share of issues. Anytime I hop in the car, Spotify just does not load. I have to click on some other kind of streaming service and then switch back to Spotify to get it to all load up. When recording this video, I actually did this just from muscle memory. I have it pre-programmed. Every time I get in the car, I touch a different streaming service and then switch back to Spotify, and it works great as soon as I do that, but just eliminating that step when I hop in the car would be great. Another annoying thing is I can't load my podcast in Spotify. I use Spotify for music and podcasts, so I'd love to be able to do both in my car as well. This is really a pain because if I'm listening to a podcast in my car, I then have to find my place when I load up my phone. Complete first world problems, but hey, this is the video. I've also had an issue with my driver's side mirror not saving in the correct place. Sometimes when I hop in my car, it is sunken down a little bit, so it's actually pointing down lower than where I had previously saved it. So I've got to go into my menu, I've got to reset that mirror to the correct position, and then save it again. Not sure if this is a software issue, but every time it does happen, I do have to go into the touchscreen and readjust the mirror. Autopilot has also taken a long time to be completely rock solid on the highway. Some people don't know this, but when you first get your car, Autopilot actually has to calibrate before it will work on the highway. So you have to drive for 5 or 10 minutes. Obviously, they can't get all these cameras pointed in exactly the right spot for every single car, so they've built into some kind of software to software calibrate all those cameras and make them all work together to create the Autopilot system. But even those first 3,000 miles, I did have some issues with Autopilot. This happened randomly, but on certain stretches of roads, my car would start ping-ponging in the lane, just sliding back and forth from side to side. It wasn't anything abrupt, it was just very slight, but you could definitely notice it if you were paying attention. So I'm at 6,500 miles now, like I mentioned at the beginning, and Autopilot is completely rock solid right now. I'm not sure if that's a result of software updates or just more calibration the more I have driven, but it is working very well now. As far as any physical things wrong with the car, I really only had a couple issues. I had a piece of trim on my passenger side rear seat, and there was just a piece of trim kind of separating from the interior of the car. I've also had an issue on my driver's side door. There was another piece of trim that was causing a ton of wind noise and just letting a lot of wind into the car. And both of those were fixed and covered under warranty by Tesla, and there are no issues with that anymore. So overall, not a ton of things that have gone wrong, but just a few minor inconveniences. And luckily, many of these things can be solved via software. It's one of the things I love about this car is they continue to improve it over time with these software updates. So if there's anything I mentioned here that is software related, I'm sure the Tesla team has been aware of it and are working on a fix for it. So let me know if you own a Model 3, if you've had similar issues, or if you've had any other issues that I didn't mention here. Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future Model 3 or Tesla related videos. I'll see you in the next one.